Welcome back to Watching Film. Today we're going to take a look at the Memphis Offense and how they've been able to put up such explosive numbers throughout the season. They have quite a few very, very good players, very explosive guys. Um, so we'll kind of look how they get them the ball, how they what they do in the run game a little bit, how they'll mix in play action in the passing game, and then we'll kind of end with a little sequence of just how tough they are to defend because they do a lot of different things schematically. They'll use different personnel groupings. They'll use four receivers in a back. They'll go four receivers in a back and move the back out and run empty. They'll use 11 personnel with three receivers and a tight end. They'll get into 12 personnel where you have two tight ends and two receivers. They're able to do a lot of different things with their personnel, and they have some really, really good players. We'll start just kind of with probably their best player, and it's amazingly that it's a contest with how good this guy is, but he's probably the best one they got, and that's the aptly named Kenneth Gainwell. So we'll kind of take a look at what he does and what makes him so special, and then get into a couple other guys, namely receiver Monty Coxy and kind of a receiver running back hybrid they started using Antonio Gibson. We'll kind of look how they get those guys the ball. Um, they're all really, really good, and their quarterback Brady White does a good job of spreading the ball around to everybody. But we'll start with Gainwell. So here he is against Temple here. They're running kind of RPO. So the tight end's going to run to the flat. The quarterback is looking at this guy. If he runs with a tight end, then I have the handoff here. If he doesn't leave the box, if he stays in the box here, then I make the throw, right? So it's just simple RPO. A lot of teams do it if you run zone. Inside is just kind of a simple zone look. If you run zone, sometimes you'll tag this. They started doing this a lot with, I believe Jason Witten was kind of the first guy that people started doing this with, but with the Cowboys, where they just, if this guy wants to stay in the box, we'll just take that flat throw all day long. Once he starts to expand out of the flat, well, now we got a good run box. So here, he expands out of the flat, and then you hand it off to your tailback here, Kenneth Gainwell, and that's never a bad thing to do. Great cut, splits two defenders, then a spin at the goal line, just for fun. So this is a really good job here of pressing the hole, jump cut, then using the speed to split the defenders, breaking a tackle, and then just spinning at the end to get in the end zone. But that's just a real simple inside zone, but makes a great cut, splits the defense, scores. Here he is against Tulsa. They're just running a simple, looks to be a simple outside zone here. So they'll run a lot of zone stuff. They're not too dissimilar in the run game to Cincinnati, where it's zone, counter, similar to that look. So again, this is like not teachable stuff really. So presses the hole, gets the linebacker to jump inside here, but he jumps inside. He sees this guy coming off the block. By him jumping inside, he makes this linebacker engage. And now I'm just going to spin outside and then turn on the jets, and nobody's going to touch me. And I'll score another touchdown. This guy is just really, really fun to watch, really good. He loves the spin move. You'll see that a few times. He's got great balance. He loves the spin move. Right there, that's just him kind of sucking the defense in and then spinning outside. Here's another good example of him in the open field. It's just, so here's kind of this is basically toss read. They will run the quarterback a little bit, but this is something you've seen USF run. We're reading him. right? If he stays inside like this to engage with the puller, because I have a puller coming for there. If the end stays inside, just toss it out there. If he were to widen, and you saw this last week, the quarterback would keep it and follow the pulling guard. You saw that Jordan McLeod do that last week, I believe. So right there, toss it out to Gainwell in open field. There's another spin move. But this is something we talked about on the film room with Cincinnati of, you know, what Kelly Joyner brings to the USF offense. Now, he's not quite – Gainwell, you can see, is a stout. Even though he's not real big, he's pretty stout. He's listed at 5'11", 191. He's got a thick lower body. But just the ability to – big runs are made when I can make a safety miss. So here's a safety. I'm one-on-one with a safety. If I can make him miss, that's the guy that's usually going to be unblocked on the defense. So big runs happen when you, one, block downfield, which they do a really good job of here, and two, make the safety miss. So right there, make the safety miss, make another guy miss with a spin move, results in a big play. So you've got to really break down and really be in great position to tackle this guy. There's another spin. And all this is here is just, could be like one back power. So kind of just locking it here. Everybody else is down, down, down. Again, this is something we saw USF run. So they're really not too dissimilar. They don't do a lot of, they're somewhat similar to stuff USF likes to run and Coach Bell likes to run offensively. They just have really, really explosive players doing it. And they've been in the system for a while, so they got guys that have been there running it for a while. But obviously, he's very explosive. So now you're going to get a counter. Again, this is something you'll see USF run. So guards pulling, kicking out the end man. Kick out. Wrapping. Back follows him. Does a great job setting up his blocks with subtle movements here. You can see just the subtleness of his shoulders here. Subtly outside right here, subtly outside, and then back in, setting up those blocks. And then get it crawling into the end zone. Here's another look at the same concept. Again, counter. Really good job by the tight end as well. Tight end's a really good player too. And he's got a great name, Joey Magnifico. So you got Gainwell following Magnifico. I mean, it's probably going to turn out well, it seems like. So, but again, if you give him a crease, he's got speed. And he'll still kind of make a guy miss and look foolish in the open field. So this is an explosive player. And, you know, what would you do if you have a really explosive guy? Well, maybe I'll put him in the Wildcat. This is counter again out of the Wildcat. Now, sometimes back there with him, they'll put a defensive end. And this is a guy they'll use as kind of a fullback type guy. Joseph Dorsey, number 94. They'll put him in the backfield, and you'll see him featured later on. He'll come in and lay some crushing blocks, too. I believe he's here. When I say crushing blocks, this poor corner has got to contend with him. If you watch this collision, again, Gainwell just follows him, breaks the tackle, scores. So yeah, that's a 260-pound defensive end that can move, and you'll see when we look at the defense that they move him around, coming in and smoking people. And then your fast running back that's elusive is making people miss and breaking tackles. So they'll hand it to him, they'll go Wildcat, and then they'll throw it to him as well. Like I said, they'll line him up in empty sometimes, but here's a little play action. Not too dissimilar to the one USF ran. They didn't run it under center out of 12 personnel. but not too dissimilar to the one USF ran against Navy, where they slip Sands up the seam. Same thing, little fake here, slip him by. Good touch by the quarterback, and again he breaks a tackle, gains extra yards after initial contact. Just a really, really good player. And so now we go from one really good player to another really good player. Their wide receiver, Monty Coxy, number 10. If you watch the SMU game, he flashed a ton. And if you watch any of this Houston game, you saw a lot of him too. So he can just go up and win in one-on-one coverage. Right here, maybe not the greatest, throw here, but he's going to go up and win. Gave him a chance. It'll be a common theme. Right here, one-on-one, win, contested catch. This is the type of thing we've been hoping to see out of some of the USF guys. You get, when you're in contested situations, are you going to make the play? Coach Strong has mentioned he sees other guys doing it. Reno St. Felix had a pretty good game a few weeks ago, and he's done it some, but that's what you have to get more consistently to be really explosive on offense, is when there are 50-50 balls, you got to make them. And now here is just wins and a great throw by quarterback Brady White, who's having a really, really good season. He's only thrown 5 interceptions this year, so he's not being really crazy with the ball. He's had a few fumbles. I know he had one against Navy, had a couple against Temple when they lost to Temple. And that's going to be the key to stopping this Memphis offense is, can I get some turnovers? So I don't think you're going to be able to consistently just stop them. Here's another shot to Coxy off play action. He wins right at the line of scrimmage here. You see you got some type of quarters. He's watching number 2. So it's kind of man out here. So watch the release up top. Comes off initially like a block and then sheds him. And if you notice the score here, they are down 6 with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. This is kind of the big play to give them the go-ahead touchdown, and Tulsa comes down and chokes a field goal. But, again, just winning at the point of attack. That's a one-on-one. There's nothing special there. Just a winning one-on-one. And here's where you can really see the explosiveness. They get him the ball here. This is a great, up top here, this is a great concept to beat like a quarters coverage where he's got eyes on number 2. Number 2 receiver is going to take the top off. Number 1 is going to come in here and run a post into the vacated area. From the backside, you're going to have Coxy running a shallow. And up top, you got a corner route because smash is one of their favorite concepts. So it's kind of a different way to run it where you got the corner and the post coming here. But the quarterback's forced to drop off the shallow, and then this is all Coxy right here. If I could just drop off a shallow to him, how many times have we seen USF run the shallow screen, and that guy gets tackled for a 5-yard gain. He shrugs off a tackler and then runs by everybody else on defense for a touchdown. So, that's when we talk about explosive players, that's what we're talking about. And here's a little RPO. So again, that same flat RPO, he runs with it. He really attacks the mesh point, so the quarterback has to pull the ball. And Coxey's just going to run a go route. So the quarterback, this is one maybe he could have kept, but he makes a really good throw to back shoulder. And Coxey comes back and makes the catch for a touchdown. So a bunch of different ways to get this way out of the ball. You've seen shallow, you've seen shots. Right here's an RPO. Here's another play action look, possibly another RPO. Very well may have been just play action. He's got like a little snag route, catches it, turns out, breaks a tackle, casually runs away from the defense. So he's going to be a guy that, you might see KJ Sales on him quite a bit. Both corners are probably capable. And so next we have Antonio Gibson. So that's the Coxy portion of the video. Next is Antonio Gibson. He wears number 14. They will line him up in the backfield. They will line him up at receiver. And they will hand him the ball. They'll throw him the ball. He'll kind of get a little bit of everything. And he's a really explosive player as well. So right here, you're going to fake to the back. Here's Gibson. He's going to fake like he's blocking, and then he's just going to run like a flat screen. So these guys are just going to block, come off and block. The quarterback's just going to pull it and throw it to him. And you can see kind of he just outflanks everybody, and then the athleticism to get into the end zone. So they'll put him in the backfield and throw it to him. They'll put him here. He's down at receiver. So like I said earlier, they love smash. So here's smash. It's just a really well-designed offense. So they love smash. So their opponents know, hey, they like to run smash. So they're going to get the safety trying to jump the corner out. He's going to run to the corner and then slip upfield vertically. So you'll see him here, and this is Gibson turning to run the corner. And then he gets up the sideline vertically for a huge play and a touchdown. So there he is running out of the slot at receiver. So the first play we saw him, he's in the backfield. Next play, he's out at receiver. Here he'll be back in the backfield. And they hand it to him. And he's a receiver. You know, he's a receiver back there. So probably hoping you're thinking, all right, they're going to just try to get him outside. Well, he cuts his back in here. Breaks 2 tackles. Makes a guy miss. And then gets up the sideline. Is gone, and then gives a little high five here for good measure. That's when we say explosive, this is what we're talking about. Right there, the safety comes off the block, makes a good play, and then tackle's broken. Somebody whiffs, and now he's gone. So that turns probably from what's designed into maybe a 5-yard gain or 5 or 6 yard gain into a long, long touchdown. And that's Antonio Gibson. So they get their guys the balls in a bunch of different ways. Here's another Gibson. So this is kind of another RPO look. So you've noticed they run a lot of RPO stuff, and this is off counter. So you got 2 pulling. He's going to get vertical. Vertical. I believe this is Gibson here. He's going to come underneath. He jumps in for a run here. That's who's being read. Definitely should have got a man downfield call, but they didn't. Here's Gibson catching it. And he's going to outrun everybody into the end zone. So again, just another way to get him the ball. When you have these explosive players, you got to make sure you get them the ball. And you've noticed a lot of these passes are on time and on target. Like I said, the quarterback Brady White has had a really good season. He's going to be really tough to stop. So then they'll kind of do that, and then they'll start mixing in play action. Here's Magnifico. Great name. Good player, too. Not too dissimilar to the one they hit Gainwell on earlier. They're just going to slip him through like he's coming to lead block or something, and then he'll just slip through. So play action to the tight end. And then he breaks a tackle, makes an explosive play. So it's not just all fast twitch speed guys. You got some big bodies in there too. Here he is again. This looks like to be play action. When you can run the ball as well as they can with those different guys, then the play action really sucks people in, and I can get it over the top. And White does a good job of, it's not always what you want to do, but he does a really good job of kind of throwing over people and throwing up high and letting his receivers go up and get it. Here's another look on the goal line. You run play action. Here's number 94, by the way, that defensive tackle. Sell, run enough, and you can get guys wide open on play action. So then you're thinking, all right, well, they throw the ball really well. Maybe I'll back off and just play coverage and not bring pressure. Well, if you miss the quarterback here and you let him take off, he's not a bad athlete either. Houston decides to bring pressure, but they miss. But if you're going to sit back and just let this guy run, he's not a bad athlete either. So it's really tough to defend them. The game they lost is they turned the ball over 4 times. So they kind of took possessions away from themselves. They're really tough to stop. So they're going to The only thing they don't do really well is they give up a lot of tackles for loss. They are about the same as USF in tackles for loss given up on the season. And with the struggles USF's had in the offensive line, you'd think that wouldn't be the case. It's a pretty surprising number. But I think they've given up one less for the season. So if you can get them in some long down and distance on third downs, maybe get them off the field or force them to make some throws in the tight windows, maybe get a couple interceptions or force a fumble here or there, get some turnovers, then you can kind of slow them down a little bit. But yeah, you're going to have to be the aggressor because they're really good. They have really good players and a really good scheme. So here's just kind of the final 3 plays here, just kind of a distillation of what it's like to have to stop this team. So here's first and goal. These are all goal line plays out of a similar formation. So right here, they're in jet sweep motion. They hand off the jet sweep. All right, they hand off the jet sweep, so let's stop the jet sweep. So here, same look. Jet fake, and they're going to run G. So it's down, down. Front side guard coming to kick, and it's going to be lead G. So here's 94, that big defensive tackle coming in here. He's going to lead. All well jet motion, and you've just seen the jet score. So you're going to play the jet motion. Well, now here comes the lead G the other way. And then now you're playing all of it, and they're going to pull it back and throw it. And their tight end's going to make a play with a guy draped on his back. So, I mean, this is the kind of stuff you see, and you're like, okay, well, how, this is really tough to defend. So when they have it rolling, they're going to be really tough to stop. But USF has stopped some pretty good offenses this season and kind of slowed them down past what they're normally kind of their normal levels. So maybe we can see that. I think the recipe for success is going to be having tackles for loss. They're explosive, so even if you get them in third down and long, it's not guaranteed that you'll get them off the field, especially with how much USF struggled on third down this year. But get them in third and longs with some of those tackles for loss. Maybe force a few turnovers, get them to give you some extra possessions and take some away from them. And they have had a punt block this year, so maybe something on special teams, but we'll kind of see in the defensive side. They're pretty good on special teams too, but the offense is really good. This is going to be one of the tougher tests that the USF defense has faced this season. So it'll be interesting to see how they respond with them playing so well lately. So, but we'll find out on Saturday.